Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Today, 46 students have submitted the assignments for the yesterday's one. Ashwini, Suhas, Harshita, Rashmi, Deepak, Jayashree, Suhas, Manjunath, Rashmi, Praveen he has sent, Sushma, Samir, Sudanva, Sujit, Aishwarya, Lavanya, Nirup, Raghavendra, Sachin, Pooja, Nagraj, Bhudevi, Ramya, Sri Lakshmi, Priyadarshini, and Deepa, Suhas, Yash Kumar, Akshay Ganapati, Ashutosh, Pavan, Dinakar, Joshi Jayant, Meghana, Darshan, Shashank, okay, Sri Lakshmi. Sri Lakshmi and Shashank were the first one to submit the assignment. Okay, excellent today. See, the problem is another 5-6 students you are not regularly attending. I think it's a very serious problem. See, almost 10 days have gone. You should have by this time sorted the issues. I want everybody to attend the class. I want everyone to attend the class, all 55 students. Okay, so that was the thing. All 55 students, you should attend the class. That was the thing. You know, I'll talk to them today after looking into the attendance. I'll talk to each student. Okay. Okay, coming on to assignment is done. And one more assignment, this one I would like to show is, just like how I have created a CN web portal, the same way I have created, for Python also the website. You can see, you have to just sites.google.com/view/Dr. KVR -Python. You just give, automatically you will come to my website. And I have already given the email ID access to all the students. Only you can access. So about home, and you have notes also, notes module 1. This module 1 will open if you are logged into your classroom, and later if you have opened this, the same window. First log into classroom and open this. Then notes for the first module will be available for you. You can download, you can view it, you can take printout. Module 2 also same. Notes for the module 2. Only thing is you have to log into classroom, Google Classroom you have to open. Then you have to open this website. Then only you can able to download this. If you don't open, if you open directly, it won't come. It won't come. Same way, ebooks are given, class videos, every day's class videos I have given. So you can just check it out. Every day's class videos I have uploaded. So all the, I think you can understand that this logo is designed by one of your friend, who is none other than Chandrasekhar. Okay, so all the videos are available up to 16th, right? So that was concept. And today we'll be working on Jupyter Notebook. Okay, no problem. So we have covered keyboard last class. Keyword arguments we have discussed. Keyword arguments, we discussed about an example of keyword arguments. Same way, default arguments we discussed. Variable length arguments is the topic of the day. Okay, right. So variable length arguments. What do you mean by variable length? So if you look at the previous example, there is a fixed length arguments. That means you have only 2 arguments in this example. There are certain situation arises. You don't know how many arguments the user might give. User might give how many arguments. You don't know. A user may enter 5 arguments. User may enter 20 arguments. User may enter 40 arguments. So you don't know what is the number of arguments that user is about to give. So in such cases, definitely we have to go with variable length arguments. The number of arguments you don't know. So we may need to process a function for more arguments than the specific while defining the function. So if you are not sure about the number of arguments, you can make it as variable length argument. And if you want to do that, you have to use the argument with a star. You have to use the argument list with a star. Okay, and such functions, we call it as variable length arguments. And one thing you should always note, the first argument has to be given, okay, and you have to give variable number of arguments. The syntax for this is this one: definition of the function, function name, the first argument. Of course, this is a mandate. This is not mandatory, and star and whatever you give. So this is actually what you call it as variable length. The first one, if you define, so it is a fixed argument plus the second one, you can write it as star. So a star indicates before the variable name that holds the value of non-keyword arguments, and of course this arguments remain empty if no additional arguments are specified. So this will be empty if no arguments are specified. If you give any number of arguments, this will automatically take. So you can give any number of arguments. Just add a star in front of this. Okay, here we have an example in the next slide. Following, we have an example. You can certainly see this example. Okay, so look at here. In the first stage, I'm passing only 10. So that means print info, it has to print only information 10. For the second one, I pass 70, 60, 50. So more arguments. So more arguments, yes, my function should able to work for any number of arguments. And lastly, I pass 2 arguments. So for all those things, it has to work. It has to work. Now look at here. Argument 1 is a fixed argument. That means one argument is common. It is there. Next, you have var tuple. So var tuple, it's a variable length of arguments, and you give a colon and you start. And output is the first one. If you write, since it is a common, okay, var 1 is a common, what you will do, you will just write. Of course, this has to be inside. Okay, there was some typographical error. This has to be inside. This print also should be inside. Okay, next you create a for loop. For loop, anyhow, we'll discuss in the next. So what you are looping is the number of arguments, whatever the number of arguments that are there here. So you are taking one by one and you are printing it. That's all. You are taking one by one and printing it. And of course, finally you are returning. This is an example. Let us see how exactly it works. I have a Jupyter notebook. So variable length arguments. Look at here. So same thing. I have okay. Look at the same code. You have the output as, you can certainly, when I run this code, I get the output. For the first information, first function call, the output is so and so. For the second output, it is displaying message 70, 60, and 50. For the third function call, what it is doing, it is 80. So this is variable number of arguments. So for variable number of arguments, you can certainly have this. Okay. Any questions at this stage? Any questions at this stage? Yeah. If you don't have any question, I have a question. Can I ask you a question? Okay.
Yes.
Chandru, you have a question? Yes. Sir, is it, dear student, Is it the first argument mandatory? Is it mandatory? Mandatory. Is it mandatory? Is it mandatory? So, is it mandatory? My question is this. Is it mandatory? First one, is it mandatory? First argument, is it mandatory? I say that is no. We don't have to, use any arguments. Of course, the same you can certainly take. You copy it. Okay, I just copy it. Put it into a new cell. Okay, put it here. And of course, I remove this. And I remove this line also. So now my loop is running. So what I do, I say print info 33. I just give print info. I give 33, 2.3, 5.0, 99. So I give some very big number. Okay, right? I give and print info. I don't pass any argument. Let us see what happens. When I run this code, it is throwing an error at line number 9. For the first one, it is displaying, yes. First one is displaying. For the second one is displaying. For the third one, it is throwing an error. It's throwing an error. Okay. It's throwing an error because it has to work. So what is that we have to do for this case? What is that we have to do for this is we will make at least one argument common, at least one argument common, and we perform. So that is the reason we maintain at least one argument mandatory. Okay, that was variable length arguments. So based on this, I have a assignment question. Please take the screenshot of this, or you can note down the assignment for today's class. So Python function that takes numbers as variable length arguments and find the sum of all numbers. You can give negative numbers, you can give floating numbers, you can give integers. I have just mentioned as numbers. You just see, I have mentioned it as numbers, only numbers. I have just mentioned it as numbers. Since I have mentioned it as numbers, you can give any number. But finally, it has to calculate the sum of all the numbers. It has to calculate the sum of all the numbers. So that is the assignment for today's class. That was the assignment for today's class. And of course, you can certainly, use it. You can certainly have this. Okay, that was the assignment. The next is anonymous functions. Anonymous functions in the sense functions that do not have any name. Does any programming language support functions without name? Absolutely no programming language I have come across. So such functions, you call it as anonymous functions. Anonymous functions because they are declared with a standard manner using a diff keyword, but they don't have any name. They are also called as lambda functions. Anonymous functions are also called as lambda functions. They are also called as lambda functions. And these lambda functions are created based on a keyword called lambda q. And of course, lambda, is a function. Normally, the function can be created like this. It's a single line, one line function. Probably this is very much helpful when you use, a short functions, when you write one line functions. So you have a variable. So variable name is acting like a function name, and you use a lambda, and you can pass any number of arguments. And finally, you can write the return type. You can certainly write the return type. It is a one line function statement, that you can write. Okay, so that's the advantage. Advantage is you can, it's just like inline functions. You can write it in single line. The functions you can write it in single line. Right. Let us take one example. Remember, these are one line version of the function, and lambda functions have their own local namespace. It has their own local namespace and cannot access variables other than those list of parameters. Okay, here I have created a lambda function by name sum. Okay, and it is taking the two arguments, argument 1 and argument 2. It's the same way, and lambda is a keyword, and you can return this. This is the argument, this is the return value. The return value, what you are doing in the return value, you are just adding it, and that's it. Automatically, whatever you have added, that will go to sum, and it is returned. And whenever you are making a function call, look at here, the value of this total is sum 10, 20. 10, 20 is the total. And you are passing 10, 20, 10 goes to argument 1, and 20 goes to argument 2. And finally, the returning value 10 plus 20 will be returning, and that returning value, you are just printing it. Yes, but in fact, look at the function definition. You are not defined the function def. You have never used def. You have created a variable like a sum, and for this you have just given it as lambda. Lambda is working like a function. Okay, it's a one line macro kind of thing. Second way, 20 and 20, it is taking some value, you are passing, you are displaying. So this is what it is happening. The same example, working example, I would like to show here. Look at here, I would like to show here, anonymous functions. Look at here, it is shown. So this function, I'm just passing the same thing, same value. I'm just, if you want, you can change the value. 50, 80, I will change the value because output also will vary. This I'll write it as 30. Now I'll run this code. So when I run this code, 50 plus 80 is 130. 130 is displayed here. And you're making a sum function called a lambda function call for argument 1, argument 2, and these argument 1 and 2 are added, and it is returned a value. So this is possible. So this is possible. The same function, you can certainly use it. 50 is what you have got, the output. So that was about the lambda functions. It was about the lambda functions. And of course, the same thing, I just made. Now, return statement. Return statement is the last statement of the function, and I have already given an assignment based on this. Return statement will always return some value. Here in Python, you can return more than one value. It is always, we have seen. And if you don't have any value to send, you can certainly use none, return none. None is a special, data word that indicates the void value, So that's about the return statement. And moving further, scope of variables. So there are two scope of variables. One is global variables, another one is local variables. Local variables are those variables that are defined within the function, and they are accessible only within the function. And they will be available in the memory when the function is active. Once the function becomes inactive, automatically these variables are taken out from the memory. The same way, global variables are outside the function. They are accessible by all the functions, and of course, their lifetime is throughout the program until you have the program running. So all these variables are available. Let us look into a differentiation. Same thing, whatever I have spoken. Variables that are defined inside the function body have local scope, and those defined outside the function have the global scope. This means that local variables can be accessed only inside the function in which they are declared, whereas global variables can be accessed throughout the program, all different functions also. When you call a function, the variable declaration inside it are brought into the scope, and following example you can certainly look at here. Argument and argument 1 and 2 are local variables. They are local variables. Whereas total you have is a local variable. Local variable, total is a local variable. Once you return this total, what happens? It will come out. And of course, when you display the total here, it may not work out. It will just display the total is equal to 0. Let us take this same example and we'll do it in a Jupyter. Look at here. Okay, I just define a function def sum, n sum. I'll sum, or you take the same values. Argument 1, a comma b. I just use a comma b colon, and here I just total is equal to a plus b. Just give it a plus b, and print sum is equal to total. And once it is done, return means that's the end of the function. Now what are you doing here? You're just calling the function sum 554 comma 66. I'm just passing the function. Now I'm printing print sum is equal to total. So this total, whatever you have created, is not having any meaning outside the function. So total is active only within the function. So let us see what happens now. So when I run this, it will display a message. The total is not defined. Total is not defined. This is namespace error. It's not at all defined. So what you have to do, this is throwing an error. Whereas in this case, it is going to display. The total is sum is equal to total. So that it is displaying. You can see sum is equal to total, or I can display total is equal to total. I can display. Look at here. So total is equal to 120 because inside the function you are printing total. That total is printing. But outside the function, you are trying to print this total, sum is equal to total, which is throwing an error. So the error is occurring in line number 6. So whatever the local variables that you use inside, the function is not accessible outside the function. So the same way, if you display a comma b, you'll get the same error. A and b are accessible only within the function, and outside the function they are not accessible. You can see it is a is not defined, b is not defined, and total is also not defined. So it is just like that. You will end up with the problem. And maybe if you want to use it, you make this function, you return this value. Total, and here you take total is equal to sum. So that means whatever the total value that you have computed here in the function, so that you are returning, and that returning value it is storing in total, and that total you are displaying here. Now you run, so you get 120. So here you are displaying total, and here it is. I can change the name also, tot. Just change the name, tot. So certainly you get. So just see, tot also it is displayed, and this is how the scope of variable is. But if you have any variable, maybe for example, I declare another variable called x. X is equal to 45. So I can certainly write a plus b plus x. And if you do it, 120 plus 45 is 165. So it's accessible. So you can see I run this code, 165 is accessible, yes. And I can certainly print. So x also I can certainly print. So 45 is also printed, and this total x is accessible. Accessible, it's a global variable. So this is a global variable. I'm sorry, somewhere I went. Yeah, it's a global variable hash. It's a global variable, whereas this AB and total are local variable. So total is a local variable. Certainly you can say have. So this is a local variable. So local variables will be accessible only within the function. Total variables, that is global variables, can be accessed outside the function also. So that is the scope, and this example defines that. Okay. Finally, working with the text. Working with the text is one very important argument. One very important, topic in Python. So this is called string. The text in Python is called string. Text can be created, or string can be created in three ways. Can be created in three ways. Strings are almost the most popular data types in Python. We can create them by simply enclosing within character quotes. Either you can use single quote or double quote or triple quotes. You can use single quote, double quote, or single quotes. All three is allowed. Let me take into an example first. Okay, I can write str1 is equal to, I will write it as RNSIT. This is a string. Same way, str2 is equal to the three ways of creating. Double quotes I use, and here MCA department I write. Same way, str3 is equal to triple quotes. You can see triple quotes. Triple quotes you can write Channa Sandra, RR Nagar, Bengaluru. I can write Karnataka. I can write. So when I use triple quotes, you already know triple quote is a quote that can be used for writing comments also, multi-line comments. Same triple quotes, if they are assigned to a variable, same triple quotes, if they are assigned a variable, they act like multi-line string. They act like a multi-line string. Now you can use print statement. Print str1, same way print str2, same way print str3. Look at here. So you can certainly have, and I'll write the comment. Okay, this is three ways to create a function, to create a string, Okay. So run this code. Observe here, RNSIT is the first string output. MC department is the second string output, and Channasandra is the next string output. Okay. Suppose you want, one line gap between each one. You can certainly write print, one empty line and one empty line, print. So you can certainly write. You can see. You can certainly write. Or at the end, instead of printing /n, one time it will print, /n you can give. So what happens when you print /n, automatically it will print the one line gap. Okay, it will print automatically one line gap. So this is what you have. And when I run this, same thing you get. Okay, you get the same thing. Oops. You can get the same thing. You can see, you can get the same thing, right? So this is a program. This is a way, 3 ways of creating. The first way is with single quotes, second way with double quotes, third way with the triple quotes. And instead of triple single quotes, you can also write triple double quotes. Triple double quotes are also equally working fine, equally working with this. So it works. Okay. And triple quotes are really helpful. Triple quotes are really helpful when you use double quotes, when you want to use the double quotes inside the string. For example, for RR Nagar, I put double quote like this. RR Nagar, double quote. Yes. If I run this, so automatically you observe here, Channasandra, RR Nagar is writing in double quotes. Yes, it is available. And I want to write Bengaluru in single quotes. Yeah, I can write. Within triple quotes, you can certainly use double quotes as well as the single quotes. So when I run this code, you observe here, Aranagar is printed in double quote like this. So it is not possible when you use this. It is not possible when you use either single quote or double quote in a normal string variables. You have to use escape sequence. But since we have triple quote concept, triple quote can include any number of characters, any set of characters. So this is very much possible. And you can see, and that too, it supports multi-line string. No other programming language supports. Okay, so that's the introduction part about this. Yeah, Deepa, you have something to say? Yeah, that's the introductory part for strings. We'll discuss in the tomorrow's class. I think tomorrow we don't have class since there is a lab starting tomorrow. There will be Python lab in the afternoon as well as tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we don't have class. We have class on Monday, first hour. Until then, have a wonderful day. Thank you. Any specific?
Sir,
yeah. Any specific question you have? Yeah.
Actually, we need to attend the lab batch wise, or everybody can attend, sir.
So that you can talk to your lab teacher, because I am not handling lab for you this semester. I think Python lab is handled by Dr. Rajini Narayan, I believe. I think you can talk to her, or Rupa madam. They are in charge of Python lab. And for lab coordinator is Professor Nandan Kumar GP. So you can talk to him. But I think all of you can attend one lab at a time. You can finish it off. See, the same programs are being explained in 3 batches. I don't think. Okay, last semester we did fantastically well. We did everybody once for all. We could able to execute. Okay, anyhow, you just talk to Nagesh sir, Nandan sir, and Rajini, Dr. Rajini Narayan madam, and
Okay, sir.
you can decide. Rupa madam, in fact, Rupa madam is also there in Python lab. I am not there in Python lab. I have given different lab. Okay. So that's all for today's class. Signing off. If you have any specific doubts or questions, you can certainly ask. Okay, you can certainly ask. The website.
Sir, still how many minutes left, sir?
Another 2 minutes. 1.45. Yeah.
Okay.
Almost. So I think Jupyter you can install. You can work on Jupyter. This is fantastic. I was just working on Jupyter. The beauty is all the programs you can have it in one single page along with input output. I can also write comments. See, I can write like this. It's a code. I can write it as a heading. I can write okay. I can write it as a heading. This is 3 ways to create a string. I can certainly write like this, and I can move this. I can move up. I can move the cell up. Okay, or I can create one more cell. I can copy this program. Okay, I can copy this, and this acts like a very good handy page. I can run this code. You can see 3 ways to handle this. So there is a comment like a big heading and the code, the output. All 3 you will get it, and you can configure. This is working on Python 3. You can see this is working on Python 3, and it's a Jupyter notebook. It is very similar to your Google Colab. So most of you are working with the Google Colab.
Sir.
Yeah, the same way. And this is a highly